Hello and welcome to the Round 2 highlights of the International Simracing Organisation's POC Gases Australian Super Touring Championship. And for Round 2, Steve Parker took a second pole here at Lakeside International Raceway with Nigel Barkley for the 18 IS. David Junt took second position on the grid in the CPW Motorsport entry, also known as the Supership car of course, the 318 IS. Richard Wilkes in the Audi Sport Australia A4 Quattro took third, with Ryan Walker in the Works BMW Motorsport Australia 320i in fourth. Åcerclinth qualified fifth once again in the HVE Motorsport Hyundai Elantra. Dave Miller was sixth on the grid with the IPC Motorsport Vauxhall Cavalier. Juha Boos in the Greenfield Moes Racing Holden Vectra lines up seventh, with Ray Riddall in the David Auger entered Alfa Romeo 155 TS in 8th. David Sabre in the Gary Rogers Motorsport Valvoline Cummins Nissan Primera qualified 9th for the second round. And a little bit of miscommunication on the warm-up lap, but Felipe Enrique in the Volvo Racing Australia 850 qualified 10th. And the final car on the grid was Bruno Chacon in the second of the Works BMW Motorsport Australia 320i's in 11th. Unfortunately, a couple of the cars that was in round 1 was unable to be repaired for the second round, but racing that went on in round 2 was well worth watching anyway. And as the race got underway and off the line, David Junt got a better jump and took the lead ahead of the field, turning into the carousel for the first time. Later on the opening lap, Ryan Walker would lose out to Wilkes in the four-wheel drive Audi as the BMW driver ran wide at Eastern Loop. Now we're on board with Sabre and the Nissan, sitting in 9th position heading on to lap 2. We can see up ahead that Boos is looking for a move around outside into the carousel, but it comes off worse as Riddall sneaks up past him into 7th place. Now we're looking back from the Alpha of Riddall as he gets past Boos down the back straight. And into 100 corners, Riddall runs wide, but Boos tries around outside, and we can see Sabre muscling his way up the inside and past up into 8th position. Also on lap 2, the race would end for Bruno Chacon due to a brake failure going into the carousel. Now at the end of lap 5, as the leading pack were all still close, and the standings were as follows. Junt was still in the lead with Parker and Wilkes in very close pursuit. Walker was 4th with Miller and Åcerclinth 5th and 6th. Riddall was 7th in the Alpha with Juha Boos 8th and Sabre 9th, with Felipe Enrique rounding out the top 10. On board with Åcerclinth now, as Miller ahead runs wide at Ford corner, which causes him to be slower down the straight, allowing Åcerclinth a chance at the carousel on lap 6. And despite the Hyundai driver running a little bit wide, he was able to take position and up in the 5th. But Miller wouldn't take it lying down, and as they came back onto the front stretch, the Hyundai's lack of power really showed, as Miller were able to get close enough to outbrake Åcerclinth at the carousel. Into the eastern loop though, Miller would run a little wide and Åcerclinth got up the inside at the exit, and the Vauxhall driver had no other option but to concede a position once again. This battle would have a short respite, but it would later be continued after Åcerclinth would make a mistake at the carousel a few laps later. On board with the leader Jump now, as Parker will have a small look, here he goes, at the carousel. How close do you want it? Look at that. And Parker would throw everything but kitchen sink at his attempts at getting past the Swiss, but the super cheap driver would prove a hard nut to crack. You can also see, behind Parker's yellow BMW, Richard Wilkes and Ryan Walker was keeping a watching brief and waiting for any breadcrumbs to fall off the table. Lap 23 of 27 and the battles were still raging. both for the lead between Junt and Parker. As well as between Miller and Åcerclinth for 5th. Neither pursuer being able to get past his opposition. And a final lap now, and the finishing positions were as follows. Junt, Parker and Wilkes would finish on the podium. Walker would finish in the end, distant 4th. And a close battle for 5th, but Miller would hold on to that position ahead of Åcerclinth in 6th. Johan Bors in the Holden was 7th. With Ray Riddall in 8th. And Felipe Enrique in the Volvo would finish 9th, a couple of laps down in the end. And here are the drivers' standings after round 2. Steve had a consistent round and leads on 29 points, with David Junt in 2nd on 25. Wilkes holds 3rd ahead of a tied 4th place between Åcerclinth and the Scot Ryan Walker. And that's all for now, but we hope you'll tune in to the highlights from future rounds soon to come.